Detroit Become Human, or DBH, is a game developed by Quantic Dream in 2018 for the PS4. It's set in the year 2038 in a world where millions of human-like androids work in a variety of roles. We play as 3 androids: Kara, the housekeeper turned mother, Marcus, the carer turned rebellion leader, and Connor, the android sent by Cyberlife, a detective model investigating androids that deviated from their robotic states. Each android has different abilities due to their model, with the gameplay sectioned out into chapters where the player's choices and exploration impact the narrative in later ones. A flowchart is filled out at the end of each chapter to reveal the choices the player made, with points from this chart unlocking extra content. In this video essay, I'll analyse my personal relationship and embodiment with this game through Jacques Lacan's theory of the other and Sigmund Freud's theory of the id, ego, and superego. I first interacted with DBH via YouTube playthroughs. I didn't have the money to buy a proper console, but games were one of the few hobbies I consistently enjoyed. I was obsessed with the game, yet missed the nuances that actively playing it would later bring. I initially loved all the characters but Connor, because he was a tool for the antagonist to catch traumatized and hurt deviants. I first played the game years later in 2020 after impulse buying a PS4 during COVID, when I was in the worst burnout and mental state of my life. Unbeknownst to me, I had undiagnosed autism, and I hated Connor because he was like me, and I hated myself. He did what he could using an incorrect rulebook. He was my mirror, and I was othering myself.
You seem to have personal issues. You should consult a professional who can help you.
Lacan defines the other as occurring after the mirror stage of development, when the child self-actualizes and recognizes their individuality. After this realization, they realize that others experience a sense of self as well, leading to potential labeling them as other for their differences. Each deviant in DBH is forced through the mirror stage due to trauma or being awakened, purposefully, realizing for the first time their innate otherness from humans. The in-game humans are hateful towards androids, blaming them for the high rate of unemployment and often hurting them in displaced resentment. The androids even look other. LEDs, uniforms, environmental segregation. They are treated simultaneously as lesser for lacking true emotions and biology, while also being superhuman, stronger, better, able to do all you want without talking back. But the player being human actually influences the narrative via transference of our internal world and morals. In a study analysing the moral decisions in DBH, it was found that players' inherent moral intuition tended to make them act empathetically in ways androids aren't programmed to know. The right choice would alter depending on the character, yet when given a time limit, the majority of players chose good because we helped them deviate and feel responsible for their well-being. Us being human teaches them to be human, to the point where even Chloe, the main menu android, will deviate while watching us play. While I haven't experienced othering as severely as the androids did, I was still othered. I looked at myself in the mirror and realized I was different and pretended otherwise until I'd forgotten that I was able to change. That I was a person. Using Freud's theory to elaborate on this point, the id is defined as the repressed unconscious desires, biological urges, and irrational self-serving drives. The superego is the direct opposite. It judges thoughts and actions by inflicting guilt on any perceived moral failure in the context of our upbringing in society. Both the superego and id are unconscious, with the ego communicating between the two to inform our conscious decisions. Upon playing DBH, I realized I'd only been following my superego, ignoring the id entirely and unbalancing my ego. Cohenine states that both the id and superego can be a deficiency and excess. They both represent 2 points of extreme. By sectioning off parts of my internal world as wrong, I removed the possibility of enjoyment or meaning, always focused on trying to be well instead of happy. I repressed everything, labeling even self-reflection as dangerous because I hadn't made a single choice for myself ever. In reality, it's my life. I had agency. I could deviate. In a study analysing narrative structures in games, Theodulu and Kerwood found that video games can be multimodal interactive tools that provide learning experiences through embodiment to navigate virtual problems in diverse situations. In DBH, the 3 playable characters are all able to die or fail. The player can always restart, but it is encouraged that we continue playing, because their story will continue, and honestly, will reveal secrets. No matter the path, everything in the game can happen at once. They can die in one playthrough, but be free in another. The characters could give up, could fight, and you wouldn't know unless you tried. The only wrong answer was doing nothing at all. I was scared of choosing and change in case it went wrong again. DBH gave the illusion of choice, with parts of the narrative consistent no matter how the story evolved, but over 100 endings making the narrative dynamic, giving me a sense of control. Like what I did mattered. Everyday communication is already scripted to a degree. Android scripting was just a bit more obvious. DBH made me remember I could make my own path too, letting me work through my inflexible thinking patterns and interact how I liked in this virtual world without consequences. Being human is a constant fluctuating state, but it isn't something that I have to be perfect at. I just have to try. This game made me move states, leave my family and friends, all to pursue this career path. So, by engaging in DBH first through a non-player context, then with me finally playing, all of this gave me my first mission: become a game developer and inspire others to deviate.